This is the Business Stuff Podcast. This is where I will share the lessons I've learned from advising thousands of businesses over almost 30 years. Each episode will give you practical insight to allow you to learn from other people's mistakes. I'll be pulling in experts from our team and the world of business, and together we'll make sure your business is giving you what you want. My name is Martin, and this is the Business Stuff Podcast. Hi, it's Martin from the Accelerator team, and I'm here with Sarah Pittendrigh from Simply Bows and Chair Covers. Hi Sarah, how are you doing?
I'm great, thank you, and how are you?
I'm super. I'm so excited for this one because anyone who knows you, well, you've got a very dedicated following of people who really know you, but for anyone who doesn't know you, give us the 10-second version and then we'll get into your business journey.
Okay, well, firstly, I'm a mum, very proud mum. I'd say entrepreneur because I have my finger in various pies, but I'm CEO and founder of Simply Bows and Chair Covers, and I take huge pride in mentoring and paying forward as well.
Right, okay then. I like that you put mum first as well.
Yeah.
That can be quite a controversial statement these days, can't it? Yeah. But I think you've got to balance your whole life, haven't you?
Yes.
Your business journey, though, is probably the one of most interest here, although your journey, I think, is also balancing of life and business as well.
Yeah.
So and we'll talk primarily about Simply Bows initially, if we can.
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll just call it Bows for brevity.
Perfect.
How did that start? When did it start? What gave you the inspiration to give it a go?
Okay, so that started in, let's say around the beginning of 2009, end of 2008. So at that point, I was bankrupt, I was on income support, my home had been repossessed, I was a divorced single mum. And the turning point for me, because at that point I was agoraphobic, I was suffering from panic attacks, I felt absolutely burnt out.
Was that a situational thing? Was that like just everything was on top of you?
The whole point of losing everything, my self-worth, my money, everything that could have gone in that moment as a result of losing a 7-figure business as part of a board, basically had me at that point in life. But I couldn't give up because that's why mum comes first. Yeah. Because I'm a mum. And that's my purpose.
So the reason you had to get out.
I had to get out of that situation for a number of reasons. One, to lead by example to my son, to demonstrate him that from failure can become opportunity. It's about your mindset and not giving up. There's always a lesson to be learned. It was about being a mum and ensuring that I could deliver the lifestyle and the opportunities and the freedom of choice for my son that I wanted and always intended. As a mum, when I brought him into this world, I wanted him to realise his potential. And if I hadn't shifted my mindset at that point of when they actually came through my garden to value my home for the auction, for it to be taken away, if I'd just continued in wound-licking mode, then what example would I have set to my son? And it was at that point where I decided to back me for a change, myself and transform the trajectory of my life. And I'd identified a gap in the market for specialist event linen when I was working in events. No idea where, but out of the blue, this voice came, pursue it. And I had nothing else to do, nothing else to lose. So if nothing else but to get purpose back.
And do you mean nothing as in because everything was already lost?
I had nothing. I had no bank account. I didn't even have a bank account. I was getting checks from income support. But I did have my laptop. Yeah. And I thought, well, if nothing else, why don't I explore the opportunity? I know how to write a business plan. Go and sit at that dining room table and instead of sitting moping, just write the business plan and see what it looks like. And that was the start of Simply Bows and Chair Covers.
What would you say to people then? Because I've seen a lot of people get in trouble on social media, and I can't remember who it was. There was some Instagram person. It kind of went, everyone's got half an hour. No excuses, you've got half an hour, give it a go. If you're not using any spare... And often people are saying that from a position where they've got time and money and resource. Yeah. You were the definition of someone who could have objected to that and went, how am I supposed to do that? Yeah. Despite that, what is it that made you do that then? Because lots of people are mothers, lots of people...
Yeah, It was just purpose. It was the purpose of being a mum. It was the
so providing for.
It was that mum thing. It was about not wanting to let my son down, and that purpose became greater than fear.
There's a lot of, without going into it, a lot of the reasons you were there weren't necessarily your fault anyway.
No.
So it wasn't like, oh well, I've let them down.
No.
Again, a lot of people kind of go,
yeah,
what could I have done?
Yes.
So do you think at the heart then you've got this message of there is always something you can do? It's not to say everyone's got an award-winning business in them.
No. I think it's about learning to reframe situations. It can be very, very easy. I think I'm a master reframer.
Right.
I genuinely have, what would you call it? A mentality that tries to look for the good before I look for the bad.
Right.
You know, I try to give people the benefit of the doubt before I realise, you know, they get a chance.
Yeah.
And I think that it's like everything. It's about look for the good. So I suppose at that moment, what I did was I tried to look for the lessons. What lessons could carry me forward? What would be the opposite that created failure to create success?
Yeah.
And that's how the I Can methodology that I mentor now came about, because I went to the dining room table and I started asking myself, before I started with the business plan, I had to work on me, and I had to ask all these questions about, because I'd lost me, completely lost me. So as a founder, a board director, whatever, all that wealth of information I had, I couldn't see any good in me at all.
It was masked from you.
Just gone.
It
was just totally gone. And I had to reconnect with me first. So it started like that. Who are you? You know,
so do you mean like self-reflection?
Yeah,
like
total questions I was asking myself. So sat down with a big A4 pad.
Do you mean literally
with a pen.
or like in a meditative state?
No. I got a big A4 pucker pad. I've still got it. I kept it.
Oh, you've got the original notes.
Yeah. And I literally sat at that dining room table and started asking myself questions. Who are you?
Yeah.
Why are you here? What got you here? Why? You know, like, so it was like, well, where do you want to be? By when? I was going to say, so some of the questions were present. You then looked to the future as well, but you started in the present. I started about with who am I?
It's like, why?
What do I not want? Yeah. What do I want? Who do I want? Who do I not want? You know, all of those sort of situations. Yeah. And where do I want to be in the future, and by when? So they were the starting points. This is what I called ignite in the I Can methodology. It's like igniting that little flame back inside you again, to get that hope and get that energy. And then I had to go to clarify, which is my SWOT analysis. And I just did SWOT analysis on myself. And it was like, well, come on, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses that got you to where you are today?
Yeah.
How do you make those weaknesses opportunities?
Yeah.
You know, and then what opportunities would there be for you out there? You know, do you want to be an employee, or do you want to have your own business? Do you want to have freedom of control and choice, or do you want to be employed and not have that risk and responsibility? Yeah. And I was asking all those serious questions. And then obviously I got to the threats. What would threaten me getting to where I wanted to be?
Yeah.
Me.
What could stop you?
Me.
Yeah.
Me and my self-limiting beliefs and my lack of self-worth. And that was what I understood I had to work on to then help me get to where I wanted to be with the business.
It's interesting as well, because again, if I was playing devil's advocate, there'll be people out there who say, you said, well, I know how to write a business plan.
Yeah.
But you then also said, and I had a laptop.
Yeah.
So I think even someone who's never understood a business plan, doesn't know what a SWOT analysis is, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. You can probably watch about 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hours worth of free videos on YouTube, podcasts, and get a grasp enough to give that a go, can't you?
Yes, I think so.
So you had skills that you didn't have to learn.
That was right.
But you could have started and been a couple of weeks behind and picked up a lot of that skill anyway.
I could have done, but in fairness to somebody who doesn't have a clue of which way to go, that's limiting, you know, and that's difficult, because in that stuck mindset, would you, if you hadn't got that knowledge, know to what to look for on YouTube?
You would know to say,
do you know what I mean?
I'll do a SWOT analysis.
I need to do a SWOT analysis of myself. But that person might not know what a SWOT analysis was. The laptop situation is not really that difficult, because even if someone's got notes on a phone or whatever, they can still use that technology. It's the actually, of course you can. It's the knowing what to do or how to do it, which is why now on social media I'm so vocal about what to do if you feel stuck, if you feel challenged, just trying to pay those signposts forward for other people, because that, even though I couldn't see it as an advantage, those skills obviously were still there because I knew what to do.
Yeah, they might have been buried and lost, but they were there. Right, so yeah, you admit that you weren't completely devoid of any skills or talent or anything.
Yeah.
But you were kind of beaten largely in mentality, weren't you?
Yes.
So there was kind of that shake-up.
Yeah, and that's what I think happens with so many people. I see it a lot in my mentoring with founders and CEOs, because
I was really surprised when we talked about this last time we met.
Yes, they get so lost in a fog of overwhelm that they forget who they are, and they forget all of these wonderful attributes that they have.
Because you were telling me you deal with a lot of female leaders, not exclusively, but female leaders who on the face of it to the outside world are all conquering, who are so vulnerable to you, with you.
Yes. I've created this really confidential space because I'm very passionate about that, about making sure they feel safe. And a lot of them ended up being high performers where enough wasn't enough because they didn't feel safe, and they were trying to create this freedom of money and time and choice to ensure they were protecting themselves in the future. And that's how often these high performers can become high performers, not driven by joy and
or greed, but by fear,
insecurity, vulnerability, and they push and push and push for more and more and more. Where 5 they thought would be enough, then it becomes 6, then it becomes 7. They get to 7 and it's like, oh my God, what's happening? I still feel the same inside. Enough's not enough. Yeah. And that's where I'm saying to them, right, okay.
It's because you're not chasing the
let's
financial
just stop burnout here.
Sum.
Let's come back and find out what's this really about. Where did that self-limiting root come from? And build a 7-figure dream, but for God's sake, do it on your terms, with joy in your heart and self-worth,
for the right reasons,
and for the right reasons.
Yeah, because that's not why we're here. But what was really surprising was, I think, you didn't tell me any people.
No.
But you'd said, fairly certain, you said you'd been speaking to someone not long before we met, and on the face of it, super high performing, fantastic, world at their feet. But behind the scenes in their home life, because they were the super high achieving female in a relationship, the bloke was like, I'm not happy about this, mind you. And I was almost niggling, like, hold on, I'm like a threat kind of thing. Yeah.
It's interesting because some people are the breadwinner, and as in well, it's not just females, because I've got men in these situations as well. You're right though, because 90% of my clients are females. They've just sort of drawn towards my story and feeling comfortable
that's why I said
me.
Not exclusively,
absolutely.
but you've seen to have an affinity.
It's interesting that the women who are the breadwinners, and they are out there and doing the do, they're still coming home and cooking the dinner and doing all the shopping and doing all the chores and making all the decisions for the kids and burning out. It's a weird situation,
so
and you wouldn't
think the allocation of responsibilities
would be shared, and it isn't.
That's
and it isn't their businesses that are burning them out. The businesses, actually, if it was just the businesses, would be lighting the fire. It's the home responsibility, and I've linked it with empathy. It's like empathetic compassion, sort of, I don't know how to describe it really, but sort of compassion, nurturing empathy, where they just want everybody to be happy and everything to be right. So they're just literally burning out, trying to create perfection in business and perfection at home.
What can people who, men and women, but you know, speak from the perspective of the women you speak to if you want to, what can people do to avoid that then? Because if you're starting a business, it's the old saying is, I got sick of working 9 to 5 for someone else, so I now work 60 hours a week for myself.
Yes.
It can be harder.
Yes,
Let's be clear.
Definitely.
You don't necessarily get more free time, do you?
No.
So if you are starting something, you might end up actually just putting a lot more time in. What advice can you give to people to get that balancing right then?
I think it started in founder stage. We're always hands-on. We do everything because we have to, you know. But as the business grows and starts to earn money, the most important thing to do is to look at your key strengths, what you can do for making growth as a founder or a CEO, growth decisions, and the tasks that earn money, because that's the key thing. And surround yourself with people who can play to your weaknesses. So they bring in the strengths where you have identified that you're weaker. You focus on what you know you're good at. Surround yourself with really good people who you can delegate to.
So as soon as you can.
As soon as you can afford it, you delegate what I call, when I'm mentoring, I say, what are your maintenance tasks? So your admin, your accountancy, all of these sort of things, get those out so that the product that solves the client pain point is what you're working on and developing continuously, being innovative, creative, and focusing on all those growth decisions in the business. And because, for example, let's just round these figures up. You earn £100 an hour by growing your business, being innovative, getting new products out to your clients, That's where your time needs to be spent. You can pay somebody, let's say it's £10 an hour, to do your admin.
To book your
It might be book appointments, it might be process purchase invoices, purchase sales invoices, whatever. If you continue to hold on to that, you've lost £90 while you're doing that job. So the business isn't performing to its...
Do you know what's interesting as well, Sarah, is I think people understand this in the house. A lot of people now have a cleaner, or they have someone who cuts their grass. And you think, well, why are you doing that? Oh, well, because I wouldn't be able to be doing my job if I was like, okay. You understand this idea of delegating literally the maintenance tasks.
That's right. So I say,
why not in business?
Transfer it back to your business. And you've just hit on the nail on the head there. So, because my mentoring is a holistic approach, because I don't believe you can't work on the founder and just a business, or the business and not the founder. But you're one. Yeah. So that's one thing I do. What do you do at home? That's what I ask them. Tell me what your home life looks like.
You can delegate that bit if you want. Yeah. And if that's within the couple or within the household. Get the kids involved, whatever it is. But again, anything that's stopping you from doing that is an obstacle, isn't it?
If you want to, if you're not getting the opportunity to read your kids a story at night, and that would be really good for you, but you can't because you're too busy rushing around doing something else, like, I don't know, you might have to be trying to do the ironing, or you're trying to do the cleaning, or you're trying to do whatever. I say, well, is it not worth it if you've got that cash? Miss giving your nails a go, doing your nails, or miss going for a spa day and all these things that aren't really going to give long-term value. And instead, that money that you would use for that, use it to get someone to do these tasks to free up your time to do the things that are going to be meaningful and create memories that last a lifetime.
And do you feel that's important then, to get that balance right? Because you can build a business if you want, but it'll leave you feeling a bit empty if you're missing those key things.
Yes, I think balance is...
And you've said it, reading the kids, it might be you didn't get a holiday this year,
you've
got a horse you can't ride.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what it is.
You've just been making the time for that
everyone's
important
got
thing.
Kids. All I'm meaning is it's things that are meaningful to you. If you are sacrificing things that are meaningful to you and it all becomes about work, I always say...
You've lost your reason already.
Well, the tail's wagging the dog.
Yeah.
And if you are working in your business continually and you're not getting any time for you or to do or whatever, you'd be much better off being an employee.
Yeah.
Much better, because you are an employee.
You may as well go home at 5 o'clock and just switch off.
You're an employee. You've chosen now, you've stayed in that employee mindset and you are an employee, but instead of telling people you work for so-and-so, you need to tell them you're working for that business. Yeah. Because you're not in charge of that business or in control.
You own a job, not a business, don't you?
Absolutely right. Yeah.
So Sarah, how did you go through those key stages then? Because and again, you've spoke about this, you've written about it, and people can catch up on the bits we're missing if you want. But I think some of the important things are then that moment, whether it was a single moment or a period of a couple of days or a week, it doesn't matter, but where you kind of went, right, I'm going to start. What was your next big obstacle through the business growth then?
Well, from the point of doing the soul searching and creating the business plan, once I looked at the business plan and it demonstrated viability, I'd done the feasibility study on it, I looked at it and I thought, this could be a real goer in the ideal world. Yeah. But this is a bankrupt single mum on income support who doesn't have a bank account.
In a post-worldwide financial crash environment as well.
Yeah, exactly. And in a world where I maybe had a husband who could say to me, don't worry about it, take your time, we can afford it, you do your experimenting or whatever. There was nothing. Yeah. So I didn't have a bank account and I didn't have any money. So at that point, there's no way you can have a business without a bank account. So let's not worry about the bank account bit.
I'm sure
let's
there's some cashy traders who'll argue different.
Well, I'm sure there possibly is, but never mind.
You can't build a real business with it.
I'm trying to think of a one where people can actually pay into my bank account if they were another business, a B2B type of business. So anyway, the thing I needed was money. I needed money, and there was no bank going to lend me any money or anything like that. And I found, going through my old diaries, again, it's been so serendipitous, I think, or fate, I don't know what you would call it, but Business Link shot out at me. And I gave them a call and I just said, this is the situation I'm in. Any funding or anything for a small business, anything. And they invited me to present my business plan to their local office in Hexham. And that's what I did. And I met this most amazing guy. He was so kind and so generous in spirit. And he really understood my business plan. Immediately he got it. Yeah. And I had to wait maybe a month, maybe weeks, I'm not sure, I can't remember now. And they offered me a startup grant. Right. But I had to get a business account. I had to have, well, not a business account, I just had to get a bank account.
So like a chicken and an egg.
Do you know what I did? I Googled, how do you get a bank account when you're bankrupt? And a forum came up. The Co-op ran a cash minder account. Right. You don't get overdrafts, you don't get credit cards, but you get a debit card. And you get a place to put account. Money. Yeah. And I still use that now, that same account for my Simply Boasted chair covers sole trader part of the business. I've always kept it. And they keep saying to me, Joe, I'm going to change this account. I mean, I've got different ones, but this, I'm like, no, I'm very happy with it, thank you. I'm very happy with it. And from that moment on, I managed to get the, like with the funding and the...
Do you mind asking how much the funding was?
I think it was the first one, I'm sure it was about £3,500, which was a really good amount because it was enough, to get me some samples made, to get me some sort of materials and so forth. And
that get your original proof of concept stock?
Yes, it did. It got me templates and things, and it also got me a very, very basic website to direct people to, and to sort of use as like a brochure more than a...
So again, Business Link was there for you. I don't know what there are various places you can go for grants and awards and things, but also you can do Kickstarter, crowdfunding. There's all kinds
of crowdfunding and things now where I
suppose the point is now, to some people £3,500 is a hell of a sum. Yes. To others, it's nothing. I've got £3,500. Yeah. And I suppose what I'm trying to get at here is you started, because you're very humble, you don't talk about the award-winning business you had, but it was started at a kitchen table with a laptop and a grant. Yeah, and pawning my 18th and 21st jewellery off my grandparents. So there's a bit of... so I went in, I had some gold necklaces and bracelets, and I don't know how much I got, a few £100 or whatever, but I remember standing in Concert pawn shop and thinking, because I'd lost them all, and I was like, I'm really sorry, I've got to do this, but I think if you were here, you would want me to do it, It's interesting, because that speaks to your readiness to sacrifice as well, I think.
Yeah, it makes me feel really teary, actually. Yeah. Talking about that.
It's interesting, but we'll not push that wound anymore.
You don't need a teary woman on your podcast.
We'll not push the wound. No. Right? So listen, Sarah, I mean, what do you think a modern version of it, because we're like some 15 years after now.
Yes, it is.
What would the route today be for someone in that similar position? Because cost of living crisis, times are tough for a lot of people. Do you think there is a route to do something similar still today?
I think it's the same.
Even as a side hustle, if you're in a job, or
as in the same type of business, or just in the same methodology of starting up?
Or you don't want to start with a competitor.
No. How do you mean reframe that?
Like if you were there today, if you were speaking to someone today, what advice would you give?
In that position,
someone who kind of goes, my back's against the wall, I've got no avenues out here.
Yes, it's interesting because someone's just, funny enough, contacted me via LinkedIn for this very thing. Yeah. And I think the key thing is to step back. You've got to step back, and all you want to do is be in. You want to whir, and it's like being a car stuck in mud. You think by putting your foot down and accelerating, you're going to get out of it. You're not. The hole gets bigger. Yes. Stop. So take a moment to just reflect and look at where you are, and look at how far you've come, and consolidate all of your strengths and think about everything that you've got, the armour that you can put together to take you forward. And your network is your net worth. Think of all those wonderful people who've been good to you, or who you've worked with, or who've supported you in the past. Who can you call upon to talk to? Because sitting on your own, frightened, worrying, on and on and on, gets you nowhere.
Yeah.
Take that moment and then see where you go from there. I think that's a really important thing.
And if you came from a business background, again, devil's advocate, there might be people saying, that's all right, you knew people.
Yes, and you don't know people.
You probably didn't feel like you knew people then, because the picture you painted
was
like an isolated.
The people I knew and who I thought would back and support, when you've got nothing, you've got nobody.
Yeah.
They're not interested, they're gone. They can't get anything out of you. You know, you're worthless. So I think if there was somebody who didn't have a network, didn't have I remember the very first thing I did when I knew I was going bankrupt, I rang Citizens Advice, because I didn't know what to do. I'd never been in this position before. And I rang people like that. And there's some great people out here now, if you're looking to start a business. For example, the North East Chamber of Commerce, wonderful supporters when I was starting out. The Entrepreneurs Forum were brilliant back in 2000 and I think it was 9 and 10 when I was at startup stage. You know, that just research for small business support, or that sort of, back to the computer.
There's loads of free events where you can go mingle
events,
with business owners,
network, even if
3 hours with anyone.
Just reach out and don't pretend. There's so much pretending that annoys me on social media, that life's amazing, and yet really and then they recoil back into themselves after the press post and it's not true. And I just think, stop that nonsense. Just stop that now, because that's not being productive.
Yeah.
Just forget the posting on social media.
Because people won't help you if you're telling everyone it's great.
Don't pretend your life's amazing.
Yeah.
And don't necessarily share with the world your life's not. Quietly, behind the scenes,
be honest with the people you
be honest with yourself about how you feel, and reach out to people you can trust, and allow yourself to be vulnerable. It's the only way you can move forward.
That sounds like the perfect place to stop, if that's okay, Sarah.
Thank you.
I've been waiting to do this for a while. I'm sure we could easily talk for hours.
I think we could talk
and I'm sure next time we touch base we will.
Yes.
But meanwhile, thanks very much, Sarah.
Thank
I really
you for
appreciate
having me.
that.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.